Okay guys, so in this video, I'm going to do an update on GNUS brand stock. So we're currently looking at a 3-month chart of the stock, and the stock has basically just been on a slow downtrend, but there's been a bit of support at around $1. So the reason why NASDAQ's $1 basically share requirement to be listed on the exchange. So this is a key inflection point, I think, and if the stock dips below this, perhaps if it goes down to 90 cents, 80 cents, or even 50 cents, the company might have to use a reverse split. We talked a bit in the earlier videos about how the company was expanding the amount of shares outstanding to 400 million and using a lot of that capital to kind of basically launch new shows and basically bring in a lot of new talent. So there's been quite a few developments in the company since I last posted about GNUS brand stock. And this stock has definitely been the biggest loss leader in my portfolio. Usually I don't hold stocks like this that long, especially ones that have a very kind of, volatile chart. So if we could take a look at the year. Okay, so if we take a look at the year-to-date chart here, we can see that the stock had a massive run-up, and then we have the run down. So the reason why I want to talk a little bit more about this chart is usually when we see stocks like this, perhaps even pump and dump chart, where the stock is bid up super high, and then shareholders move on elsewhere. And as we can see here, the volume has been a lot lower since the initial euphoria. But I also want to show you that I've actually seen this specific setup before, and the most recent stock that I saw this with was NEO. So NEO, if you guys aren't familiar with NEO stock, NEO was a stock that about last year, they appeared on, I believe it was 2020. The CEO, William Lee, appeared on 2020. And the stock shot up really high before they were really generating any revenues. And then it plummeted back around to $1 or so. And then when the company started making more revenues, now NEO stock is trading at around $20. And the way I want to describe this phenomenon, the emotional series of change, something like that. So, okay, so I read about this concept. And basically, I believe the book was called 12-Week Year. And it just basically talks about how emotional states can basically control outcomes. So as we can see here, we're taking a look at a chart. And this chart here is basically an emotional, series of change that shows how people become really excited about, a stock. And then they become fearful of it, and they start to sell it off, and then they become optimistic again. So what I believe is that currently, if we were to take a look at this green line, this would kind of represent the huge run-up that we saw in the summertime when they launched the Kartoon channel. They announced they were going to launch it, and people were really excited. And then as we can see here, the big drop down would be this area. So we have the unease, the denial, the pessimism, the panic, the capitulation, and things like that. But, at this point right here, I think we're looking at the despair part. And what I think is that there's been so many positive developments with this company. You've got big time celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger taking warrants in the company. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be taking warrants in the company if the company didn't have any promise. And a company that continues to impress and bring on different developments, which some of them I'm going to talk about right here. So some of the biggest news that's been coming out a couple days ago, they launched the Kartoon classroom. So this was really interesting to me because you guys are probably familiar with the whole Zoom outage where so many kids were learning online through Zoom software with teachers that there was an outage. And the reason this is because I think a lot of kids are going to be homeschooled in the future, and a lot of kids are going to be using alternative measures rather than traditional K through 12 schools to get their educational content. So what basically the press release talks about is that they've launched a new Kartoon classroom that is basically going to be teaching kids the STEAM topics, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And why I think this is really interesting is this just basically gives Kartoon channel another opportunity to basically bring in more kids and bring in more users. And of course, with more streaming watch hours, like the most important thing with streaming companies, it's not necessarily subscribers, it's watch hours. So this is going to bring more opportunities to generate ad revenue. Because I think the important part to realize about the GNUS brands is that they plan to have most of their content free. So they're not using the same business model that I would say Netflix is using. They're using, it's kind of a similar business model as to what a lot of big YouTubers are doing, basically showing free content, streaming with ads, something that I'm doing with my channel as well as a lot of other financial channels. So, you know, we're currently in basically the 4G cycle. So once 5G hits and download speeds are so much better, streaming content's really going to take off. It's going to be an explosion. It's going to be so much faster, and you're going to be able to watch video content so much quicker, no matter where you live in the world. You know, whether you live in the United States, of course, or even if you live in, some of you guys probably live in some other countries as well, you know, Australia, UK, or Canada, wherever you may be. But the point is that all of the companies that are getting in early on the streaming boom this decade, once 5G hits, it's going to absolutely take off, and I expect ad revenues to skyrocket because watch time will be skyrocketing. So basically, they're bringing on and they're building a great team of people. Most of the people that they've brought on have lots and lots of experience working with other big companies like Fox, working with Disney and things like that. So this team is slowly coming together, and I'm starting to see a lot of positive things, and the stock is currently trading at $1. So of course, Rome wasn't built overnight, and I think a lot of people are still skeptical. But another thing that I really like about this press release is that they said they'll also showcase content from third-party creators. So that means that Genius is kind of really opening things up and kind of using Netflix's powerful model of Netflix makes their own content, but they also bring in third-party content too. So when Genius is basically creating their own cartoons and then they're bringing in other third-party things, you just create this huge, massive platform where people can basically watch content and kids can really enjoy learning and come to like a positive environment. And this will grow over time. So I think one thing to remember when it comes to streaming stocks is that, you know, Netflix was not always big. You know, there was a time when Netflix stock was a couple bucks. So obviously I'm not saying that Genius Brands is the next Netflix, but the potential for a company to start small and grow big is there. Most stocks, you know, nowadays you see IPOs at like $20, $30, $40, but it didn't always used to be that way. So there's been lots of companies that have started small and grown much bigger. And then the last news that kind of came apart was they brought on a licensing industry icon, Karen McTire. So I did some research on this lady to kind of see if it was legit, and she did. She worked over at Warner Brothers for, it was almost 20 or 30 years. I checked out her LinkedIn profile, and she's just worked with a lot of successful brands, including Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Harry Potter, Wizard of Oz, Looney Tunes, and Scooby-Doo, and turned these into successful global consumer product programs. So I didn't know it at the time, but these were the cartoons that I personally grew up on. I'm familiar with all of them. I used to watch all of them. I used to buy comic books, toys, and everything like that. So it's just really interesting to see all of these successful people that have done really, really well in their career come to this company. So, you know, there isn't really a lot of revenue right now, but, you know, quality inputs equals quality outputs. So is it really possible that this company, with all of these brilliant, talented people coming together, working on one focused goal, are they really going to produce junk? My guess is no. But the problem is that, you know, there isn't much revenue coming in right now, so I can understand how people are impatient. So I would say, listen, if you want to make quick money, you definitely want to check out my article on my site. I posted an article talking about the top hyper growth stocks to buy. So these are stocks that are going up right now. I'm talking about DraftKings, Peloton, you know, stocks like of that nature. Stocks that are growing much faster at a much faster rate because these companies are just growing out of control. Genius Brands is going to be a much slower growing type of company. So Genius Brands is going to be a much slower growing type of company. And the reason why is that this company is not spending a ton of money on advertising. They're not bringing together. They're simply slowly building a quality team of people. So for me, I've just been buying the stock, averaging down, and just planning to hold my position a long term. Streaming myself personally as a YouTuber. If you are consistent with your streaming and you have a big content library, you have a lot of videos out there, you can make a ton of friends who do the same thing. So it really hurts that this stock hasn't done well, and it's my biggest, the stock that I'm down the most. But you know, I'm at the point now where I'm invested in the long run, and I plan to hold this at least until 5G catches on. If this company doesn't make money with 5G, you know, downloading speeds and kids watching all different types of content, and they can't make money then, so I'll probably liquidate my position. But until then, I'm going to hold. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. This is my video update of Genius Brands. So be sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos on Genius Brands. Full disclosure, I'm a shareholder, and I'll be regularly covering and investing and also other different developments in tech, streaming stocks, and things like that for companies that you guys can make some money. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Until next time.